Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Scalebound. And I know some of you guys are going to go like, Rurikhan, seriously? Scalebound again? And yes, Scalebound again, because IGN wrote an article yesterday where apparently PlatinumGames is appealing to Xbox to help it make Scalebound. And I have quite a couple of things to say about this. Now look, I've been a fan of PlatinumGames pretty much since I've played Vanquish. Unlike a lot of people, I did not become a fan of PlatinumGames from, I don't know, Beautiful Joe or whatever it was that a lot of people really enjoyed, or even Bayonetta, which I think is when a lot of people really fell in love with PlatinumGames. I fell in love with PlatinumGames all the way back in Vanquish, which was after a lot of these other titles. So just to kind of like tell you guys what are the kind of things that I expect from PlatinumGames, the things that I like from PlatinumGames. And obviously it is the ridiculously over-the-top action that they bring to the table, and that has always been what I like about them, is that they go completely out of bounds, completely crazy scale, and just like, you know, throw things off the wall that most people would potentially not want to deal with, which is a good thing in my opinion, and that is what I like about them. But over the last couple of years, I've been growing increasingly disillusioned with PlatinumGames, as in, I think that they are a studio that has a lot of talented people, but they might not be the best ones at managing that talent, which actually leaves me really, really disappointed. Now, when it comes to talking about Scalebound, I want you guys to understand something, and one of the reasons why I've talked about Scalebound as much as I did, it is because I've actually seen Scalebound running in front of me. And I know that not a lot of people have had this privilege. This was in a Gamescom. I don't remember exactly which year it was, but to tell you how much I enjoyed that, like later that year, I went out and I bought an Xbox to play this game. And I knew that it was probably going to come to PC, but it's like, yeah, but I want to play it on console. It's a game that I wanted to play on console. And I was like, sure, I'll get an Xbox. And I have an Xbox just for Scalebound. Okay? I've barely played the damn console. It was a complete waste of money. So I got burned hard. But even after I got burned hard on account of the fact that, you know, Scalebound was canceled and all that, you know, I was still, you know, looking forward to titles that PlatinumGames was working on. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this because I feel like I'm going to show you guys a couple of things and you guys are going to like, oh, wow, there definitely appears to be a significant problem in PlatinumGames. I know that some people are going to say, well, you're going to talk about their licensed games like Legend of Korra or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever that were not as good games as the other ones that they've worked on like Bayonetta and stuff like that. No, I'm not even going to bring those up because I understand that a studio sometimes has to, you know, they have to work on developing certain titles in order to put food on the table. It's just that simple, you know, that's just a fact of life. So I'm not particularly surprised about that. I'm going to be talking about projects that I'm excited for that PlatinumGames has worked in or was supposed to be working on, and they turned out not to be that great. So, I mean, one of the first things that I got to bring up in terms of like how well they are and managing their people, the first Bayonetta 3 reveal trailer was more than 4 years ago. And to put that into perspective, Monster Hunter World took 4 years to be developed. So the fact that they've, you know, teased Bayonetta 3 all the way back in 2017, and we still don't have like, do we even have a release date? I think we might actually have a release date at this point. Doesn't matter. We might even get more information later tonight because there's going to be a Nintendo Direct. But the point here is, where the hell's Bayonetta 3? What have you guys been doing? Like, you don't just tease a game and then keep people waiting for 4 years. Like, I think there's definitely been some serious issues with Bayonetta's development. That's not all. There was another title that I became very excited about immediately after the debacle that was Scalebound, and this was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, because once again, I was looking for projects that were being developed by PlatinumGames, and PlatinumGames was involved in the development of Grand Blue Fantasy Project Relink. And the fact that in February 2019, it was announced that they would no longer be involved in the project, I was just like, okay, there definitely seems to be some kind of a problem going on in Platinum Games because Microsoft doesn't want to deal with them. Now Cygames doesn't want to deal with them. What exactly is going on in the development of Platinum Games' titles that there always seems to be like a problem? Unless you know, it's one of the older titles like Vanquish or whatever, which Vanquish came out and I was like, dude, Vanquish is amazing. Love Vanquish. Bayonetta 1 is great. Bayonetta 2 is great. But then you have these things where they're involved in these projects and they're just like, yeah, we're canceling this project or we're not going to work with you anymore. And it's such a weird thing that it's a completely huge turnoff to me. And then they came up with, oh, we're doing this Platinum 4 thing. And I got really excited. Oh my God, could it be that they're bringing Scalebound back? You guys might even go back on the channel and watch the video that I did about this, where I was excited that potentially one of the things revealed was going to be Scalebound. And what exactly was it that they gave us? Well, they gave us a remaster of Wonderful 101 for Switch, PS4, and Steam. Which, don't get me wrong, that's awesome because Wonderful 101 was a really fun game. Then it's like there's a teaser of a Project GG A Go-Go, which, you know, if this follows in line with Bayonetta 3, you're going to be looking at another 4 to 5 years before you actually see anything come out of this. Then it's like, oh, we're going east to Platinum Games Tokyo. And it's like, really, dude? You're gonna put a platform up where you're gonna talk about 4 major announcements, and one of them is that whatever. And then there's a shooter, which, you know, fair, I guess. And then there's a mobile game. And I was like, wow, because this one's bonus, by the way, because it's supposed to be Platinum 4, then the 5th one, whatever. I just looked at the website today. I haven't looked at this website since forever. So I was just like, dude, what is going on with this company? Anyway, then we go on to Babylon's Fall, which, as you guys are probably aware, a game that I was extremely excited for. And you can actually go back and watch this video that I've posted from a live stream where I basically talk about my thoughts and opinions on Babylon's Fall gameplay reveal. And it's not good. It's not good. For those of you that did not watch the video, let me just summarize it for you. It's not good, okay? It's a live service game, and it brings, with what we got in the beta, I mean, I'm sure that once you level up more in the game, which you can't really do in the beta to get like your access to your Gideon coffin or whatever you're supposed to be getting, then we might get a little bit more of the Platinum signature style of over-the-top stuff. But like, the basic stuff that you get to do in this beta basically tells me that people that are excited for Babylon's Fall are heading for a really bad time. Like, look, I've been around the block and I'll be happy to eat my words on this, by the way. I will be glad to be proven wrong because I gain nothing from a video game from a publisher that I care about coming out. And I mean, publisher, developer, whatever. I gain nothing from that game sucking. Okay. So if eventually the game comes out and it's actually really great and fantastic, like, good. But the impressions that I got from the beta were completely terrible. It's just a type of gameplay that is completely brainless live service gameplay with almost no over-the-top stuff and terrible balancing between the weapons and just like not particularly satisfying combat. I was just like, dude, what are you doing? But this is just to give you guys like a prelude before we actually jump into the meat of this video, which is, you know, Platinum Game appeals to Xbox to help it make Scalebound. Phill, let's do it together. And I'm wondering if this is like some way of Platinum Games being like, hey, Microsoft, you want to buy us too? You know, because Sony just bought like, who did Sony buy? Bungie, whatever. Sony just bought Bungie. We know you guys just bought Activision Blizzard. You want to throw some money our way too? Is that what we're going for? Or is it because, you know, Microsoft's being very pro-consumer and therefore they're kind of like, come on, let's get back into that Scalebound thing that we're working on. And it's just like, here's another problem with this. Again, before we even jump into the article, okay, when a game is in development hell like Scalebound has been, its chances of actually being a good game dwindle to the point of it being damn near impossible, okay? And considering current Platinum Games' track record, I'm not sure I even trust them enough to make this game a reality, which is actually disappointing to say, but that's just the point that I'm at with this whole situation. You know, it's just like, you got to understand that once technology moves past a certain point, games are just going to look dated to a point where everybody's going to be talking about like, oh, PS2 graphics, oh, and it's going to become a big meme because like, look, there were some really innovative ideas with Scalebound. Can they capitalize on that and actually make a good video game? I honestly don't know anymore. It seems pointless for Microsoft to just hold on to that and not do anything with it. PlatinumGames wants to return to Scalebound, the dragon-filled Xbox exclusive it canceled in 2017, and has appealed to Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer to begin those discussions. Speaking to IGN Japan, Platinum President Atsushi Inaba explained that Scalebound creator Hideki Kamiya has been talking about wanting to work on Scalebound again for a while. Was this after you got kicked off of doing Project Relink? Kamiya himself added, I'd like to appeal to Phil Spencer directly. Let's do it, Phil. Yeah, I'm sure. Basically putting the onus of responsibility upon Phil. I almost feel like Phil should just like shut this down at this point. Like, look, it does nobody any good for them to keep dredging up the corpse of this game and like, guys, we could still work on this. Like, I know that I sound very disillusioned and it's very not typical for me, but at this point, I'm definitely at the stage of like, look, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice is like, come on, what are we doing here? Am I a dumbass? It's like, no, I've been fooled. Actually, in my case, it's more like fool me 5 times by now, considering how many times I've talked about friggin' Scalebound. Anyway, Kamiya's not been shy about expressing his regret over the game's cancellation, and the developer has said that before that it would love to return to the game with Microsoft's permission. This is because Microsoft owns the IP. Some of you guys might be considering, why don't they just do it? Just do it. They can't because Microsoft actually owns the Scalebound IP. However, Inaba made it clear that this isn't an idle wish, and they'd like to reopen talks with Microsoft about the idea. Often in an interview, you might hear a developer politely saying, yes, if we had the opportunity, we'd love to work on that again, but we don't mean it that way. Both Kamiya and I are serious. We really would love to work on Scalebound again. I bet you would, because interestingly enough, nobody's really done the idea of Scalebound in the scale that they had planned to, because I think that a lot of people don't understand the concept of it. Like, I've made videos about it, but I was much smaller back then. You guys can go back and watch the video that I did immediately after the presentation that I witnessed, which goes into a lot of detail about like the customization of the dragon and how different players would have different dragons. Some would be more focused on land combat, others would be more focused on aerial combat, and how, you know, even though you control your character, the purpose of Scalebound was to actually have the dragon do most of the fighting. Your character's just kind of like an avatar. It's not really like Pokemon because you are doing combat and doing stuff like that, but the point of it is there was like this bigger gameplay aspect to actually controlling the dragon itself than just controlling your character and having the dragon kind of like as a pet. You know, that's kind of like the mechanics of that were more innovative in terms of that. And some of the stuff that I've seen in that presentation, I wish I could show you. Unfortunately, can't because we weren't even allowed to record. But yeah, it was really good. The idea, fantastic. I mean, there's a reason why I was so hyped up about the game. But at this point, I'm not sure that PlatinumGames can actually deliver on it. Like, seriously, considering what they're talking about in here, I'm almost just like, why don't you guys just fix the games you're working on, finish the games you're working on already? Just finish Bayonetta. It's like, Jesus Christ, release something. Anyways, Kamiya went further. Development had progressed a fair way. Yes, I saw it running. I saw the game running in front of me. And it seems pointless for Microsoft to just hold on to that and do nothing with it. Kamiya then switched to English to say, Phil, let's do it together. Inaba has previously lamented that Microsoft took much of the blame for the cancellation of Scalebound, saying that game development is hard and both sides learn lessons for sure. Last year, Kamiya explained more about the cancellation and apologized to fans and Microsoft. Did he? I'm not even sure I reported on this. We'll take a look at that one too. It was a big challenge for PlatinumGames. We were working in an environment we weren't used to. We were developing on the Unreal Engine. We also lacked the necessary know-how to build a game based on online features. Yes, because for those of you that are not aware, the idea of this game is that you play single player, but then there's multiplayer dungeons where you can go in with other players. A new issue for getting Scalebound back off the ground may be an entirely different game. Hitman developer IO Interactive is reportedly working on an Xbox exclusive fantasy game featuring dragons. Given that Scalebound could be described in a very similar way, that might be a little bit close for comfort. And not to mention that at this point there's that studio Is it Creative something? I forget their name. They've worked on a lot of like shooter games they've worked on stuff for Halo Infinite. I forgot the name, but they are working on a kind of like Monster Hunter game for Xbox. So there's also that coming out, which again is probably Phil's going to be like, no, I'm gonna keep the eggs in the baskets that I know. But I'm actually curious about this. Apologizes to fans for Microsoft and Scalebound cancellation. This was November 2021. I didn't report on this. New interview with the YouTube channel Cutscenes. Kamiya shed some light on Scalebound's cancellation. He had a desire to make a high-end photorealistic game. That meant PlatinumGames had to improve its graphical capabilities as the next step in modern game creation. I'm sorry to the players who looked forward to it. Moreover, I'm sorry to Microsoft who had placed their trust in us as a business partner. I want to apologize both as a creator and as a member of PlatinumGames. So see, in here, it seems like they are admitting that a big part of the blame is on them. Kamiya said that he loved Fantasy World with swords, magics, and dragons growing up. He also played classic PC games like Sorcerian and Idleide. So that's where he got the idea to center Scalebound around a young man fighting together with a dragon. However, it was a big challenge for PlatinumGames. We're working in an environment where, we read this already in the previous article. But anyways, that's the story here. And it's like, at this point, like I said, I know that this is an extremely negative take on this whole situation, but I'm not sure that I would trust PlatinumGames to do justice by this game. Not to mention, considering how people are hyped up about it, I almost just feel like this is a huge risk for Microsoft to take this on, even if they were to accept this. And the fan hype, the moment if Microsoft was to announce like, oh, we're super hyped about Scalebound, like I'll be reporting on it because I'd still be excited for the game. But I think that the hype levels that we've reached at this point, I think it'll be very hard for this game to deliver. And I'm not sure that that's a risk that Microsoft is willing to take. I'm curious about you guys, though. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Let me know what you think about PlatinumGames and all of that stuff. I don't usually do takes that are as negative as this, but it's just like, I don't know, dude. I feel like I've been burned one time too many with PlatinumGames in recent history. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded. We'll see what happens. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out.